between the City of San Luis and James Davey and Associates for a new community park. Mr. Galaviz.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Tonight I bring you the proposal that Jim Davey and Associates has presented. This entails doing the water, sewer, elevation engineering. And I've met with the Public Works Director, and we would like to, I would like to propose that we move forward with this, and that'll be, of course, until we take possession of the property to move forward with this project. And this will be the infrastructure needed before we can start really developing and working on the park.
Okay. I have no question on that one. I know we need to do the consultant fee, so I'm going to go ahead and open the floor. Africa Luna Carrasco, comments, questions, and concerns?
None, Mayor. Thank you.
Tia Rosales, comments, questions, and concerns?
None, sir.
Okay. Jose Ponce, comments, questions, and concerns?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, comments, questions, and concerns?
None, Mayor.
Thank you. Mario Buchanan Jr., comments, questions, and concerns?
None, Mayor.
Thank you. Gloria Torres, comments, questions, and concerns?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Louis, proceed.
Thank you.
Item number 2B, discussion and possible action on matters regarding the brick walls at various retention basins within the City of San Luis. Mr. Galaviz.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I bring before you recommendations on what was, we had direction at least to review those and wanted to present those to you. These are the various damaged walls that we have in our city that are concerning because of you know, the damage or wear and tear they have been through the past, well, several years. So I have put together a cost estimate with the different locations. I kind of prioritized the list. You're more than happy to change that. We kind of looked at them and they all were in need because of the damage they've sustained. And a lot of it's been from water damage, which I believe I addressed last meeting, that has been taken care of, so we won't have that issue in the future. But for now, this is what we're looking at, and I believe that the total cost would be about close to $55,000 to be able to complete all of these, or if Mayor and Council provides me direction and approval of which ones you would like us to move forward with on this list.
Well, Louis, there's a reason why you made the list. It needed to happen. Okay, so I think if you put them on that list, that means that they need fixing. I think we should. This is a small investment to the image, and because it's very important, because I'm seeing the walls deteriorate in multiple, and people look at that, and we want to clean that image. The same thing with fixing the roads. We're spending money on fixing our roads, so we want to make sure this is where our kids play. This is where a lot of people go and do their exercises, and soccer practice occur, the piñatas occur, and it really looks bad when the walls are falling and there's holes in the walls. I honestly think that's $55,000. It's a small investment. I actually thought it was going to be more. So, in my opinion, they all need to get done. That's my personal opinion. I'm gonna open the floor. Africa?
Agree, Mayor. Is this money available? That's my only question. I mean, I know it's not a lot, but do we have the money for it, Louis? Or will?
I've spoken to the finance director, and of course, this wasn't budgeted. It'd have to be something that would either come from contingency or some other type of funding. I would leave that
Okay.
up to finance
Like
to work.
council contingency or something like that?
Yes.
I would agree with contingency. This is a worthwhile project, and I think the investment is actually, the yield is higher than the investment, in my opinion.
No, I agree, Mayor. And then the other question I had is, or just to confirm if you had mentioned, they are listed in order by the ones that need the most repair, or?
Yes.
Okay.
We went to look at them, and the ones that have the most damage or
Done.
done to them, yes. And again, there's one or two, 3 and 4, they're a little bit higher than the other two, just because it's a longer section.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I think it's good that we get this done.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Just following to the comment that Council Member Africa Carrasco had. I concur with Mayor Sanchez. Definitely, the more straightforward way of going and funding this project is through the contingency budget that council has. So far, nothing has been spent down, and I think this will be a good project.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Monica.
Matias?
I'm good with it, Mayor.
Good deal. Jose Ponce?
I'm okay. I mean, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mayor, we need to get this done. It's more of a liability if there's a child playing next to the wall and all of a sudden the wall tumbles on top of him. I think that everything should get done. They're all priority to me. Thank you, Mayor.
Good. Mario?
Yes, Mayor, very much needed project. Let's move forward.
Good. Gloria? Comments, questions, concerns?
Yes, Mary, we got the money. Let's do it.
Okay, good. Done.
Thank
Louis?
you. I'll move forward.
Okay, good deal. Item number 2C, discussion and possible direction of staff and all matters regarding ordinance number 401, an ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of San Luis, Arizona for the management of trees in the city of San Luis and practices for care of the trees and removal when the health, safety, and welfare interests of the residents, amending the San Luis City Code, repealing any conflicting provisions, providing for severability, and providing for penalties. This item continued from the regular council meeting held September 23rd, 2020. Mr. Galavis.
Yes, good evening again. It is brought back to you. We had some wording that we were working with legal and community development. I think we have it all put together and presented to you tonight. This is really an ordinance to move forward. One of the goals is to become a tree city and improving our community with more trees, shade areas, and this will give us the opportunity to be able to move forward. A lot of the maintenance and care is already done by our staff. This gives us a little bit more and able to move forward with grant and funding opportunities in the future with pertaining to trees in our community, looking at starting a nursery, tracking our trees, and really looking at how many more trees we really need or want in our community, especially in pathways and in our open green areas.
I agree, Louis. This is something that needed to be happening. We need to do that. We need more shaded trees. We need to change the image of our city. One of the concerns of a lot of residents, especially the younger residents, is we need more greenery. We need to show that trees clean our air, and so we definitely need more greenery in our city. So I have no problem with that. I have no problem telling you proceed. So I'm going to go ahead and open the floor. Africa.
Love the project. I actually put this on a work session a year or so ago. So I'm glad that we're moving forward. Thank you.
Good deal. Matias?
No, Mac, man, I'm good to go.
Good. Jose Ponce?
No, sir, no questions.
Okay, good. Vice Mayor?
Yes, very important, Louis. Thank you.
Good. Mario Buchanan Jr.?
None, Mayor. Thank you, Louis.
Good. Gloria?
No, Mayor, yes, Louis, let's get green.
Thank you, Gloria. So, Louis, proceed.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 2D, discussion and possible action staff regarding the ballot initiative proposition number 207 titled Smart and Safe Arizona Act on regulating legal sales, cultivation, and manufacturing products for marijuana and options for the city ordinance. Mr. Glenn Gibbon, Assistant City Attorney.
Mayor, I still haven't figured out how smart and safe one can be being totally stoned, but that's just me. The Proposition 207 looks like it's on the verge of passing. While only 85% of the votes in Arizona have been counted, this one appears to be passing 60% to 40%. The particular, if you will, proposition, the initiative, is 17 pages long, single-spaced type. The City Attorneys Association at the League of Arizona Cities and Towns has a working group, and they have come up with a proposed model ordinance. And so that's it, but it's got options in it. And that's why I'm standing here tonight, and the Chief of Police is here as well, to more or less ask, if you will, from council, what directions would you like to see us go with respect to some of these options that are in front of you. I don't know if you've had a chance to read my memorandum. It still is basically a good summary of what's going on. The law itself is filled with a bunch of little contradictions. And so it's those contradictions that have got, if you will, the city attorney's attention here. For example, we're allowed to ban recreational sales of marijuana. It says, though, at one part, but then there's another part that says we're not allowed to do any regulation any different than medical marijuana. And for medical marijuana, we're not allowed to outright ban them. So what does that mean? Well, we don't know. You have another section that says that we're allowed to have zoning restrictions. But then there's another section that says that we can't penalize for the any selling of marijuana from a licensed facility. Well, if the licensed facility is violating the zoning restrictions, are we punishing them for zoning, or are we punishing them because they're selling illegally? Is that a punishment of a sale? Now, are we prohibited, you've broken the law, but are we prohibited from punishing you? I mean, so like I say, if you go through these 17 pages, you're constantly challenged with these kind of contradictions going throughout it. Right now, the model ordinance, when we did medical marijuana, the mood of council and the mood of our public was basically, we hate marijuana, we don't want to see it sold in San Luis. I don't know what has happened between then and now and what the political will of council is or what the will of the community is. I do not know, but that's part of why we're standing here tonight. One of the things that we can do that is going to be legally very safe is to force this stuff into what's called dual-use facilities. In other words, medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, it's at the same place, the same site, nothing else. So we can force things to be a dual-use facility. And the observation from Andy Miller of Paradise Valley is he considers this to be the legally safe course, where you're maintaining your current distance requirements that you can't be, you got to be so many feet away from a school, you got to be so many feet away from a public park, you got to be so many feet away from different uses out there, the church. And by doing that and by limiting your facilities to being just, the other place you can sell it is where you're doing medical marijuana. That way you have cut down the amount of activity in your city or town, and you are on grounds that are very safe, because within this law over and over again, it says you can treat these things identical to medical marijuana. It has several places where it says dual use facility. So that's my first question to you. What do you think of this new law, and what directions do you want to see staff go?
Well, my personal opinion on this, and Glenn, is we should treat it like medical marijuana. And actually, it's the will of the people. People have voted. We live in a democracy, and I believe I just got informed through a news feed that Proposition 207 did pass. The numbers are there. We should treat it like medical marijuana, put restrictions in regards to how close can they be to schools, churches, public place. I mean, you do have the right to this new law that's going to pass gives you certain rights, but at the same time, it doesn't give you full liberty to be smoking inside a school or next to a school. So we're going to treat it like medical marijuana, in my opinion. If that's the league's opinion, I totally agree with that. It's something we need to work with it, even though our last time the consensus was, okay, medical marijuana is there. We don't like it, but it was the will of the people. Oh, here we go again. It's the will of the people, and we knew this was coming. Let's, my opinion, let's put it in the same category as medical marijuana, and so be it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open the floor, make sure that everyone, his opinion is on record. Africa Luna Carrasco.
Same, Mayor, I agree. There should be those restrictions that you mentioned and Glenn mentioned to treat it as medical marijuana, in my opinion.
In your humble opinion, perfect, thank you. Matias Rosales? Good deal. Thumbs up. A ver, Jose Ponce?
I agree with you, Mayor, since you're a medical provider, so you're the expert. So I agree with you 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Let's see here, Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mayor. Well, I totally hate this. I so dislike it, but it is what it is. People want it, so they got it. So we're just gonna have to put the restrictions that you advised and Glenn advised.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Mario Buchanan Jr.
Yes, Mayor, it's here. We have to deal with it, so we do it our thing in San Luis, so let's treat it as medical.
Okay, good deal. Thank you, Mario. Gloria?
Yes, Mayor, if the proposition pass, so we should follow the regulations that have been established. I mean, I have to have regulations like everything.
Okay, thank you, Gloria. So there's the consensus. This is where we stand. Glenn, does that help you?
Yeah, basically what I'm planning to do is force everything to be so-called dual license facilities, banning testing facilities. This is a new bracket or a new thing that where they test marijuana for its potency, etc. Well, you don't have to have that. It involves a lot of dangerous chemicals and activities. I'll let Angel, our fire chief, address if you want to hear from him, but there's no need to have that. And then we'll restrict cultivation down to be the same way we restricted cultivation down with medical marijuana. Be done.
Yeah, and the other thing is, with this, you're going to have the driving while intoxicated, but not by alcohol. So, are we aware that do we sell? Can we evaluate someone how much THC they have in their system? Besides doing a drug screen, urine or blood?
Well, you have no idea how many problems are attendant to this thing. You know, for example, yeah, I mean, you're going hard into the medical problems, and of course there is a ton attached to this. Obviously, particularly the fact that the potency of current modern marijuana isn't what marijuana was, say, for example, in the 70s. It's high potency level. It's the fact that it's now being made into things that are attractive to children, like gummy bears and candies and the like, and disguised in lots of other. They have soda pop that it's put into, etc. You know, it just boggles my mind when I see what's out there. And the danger potential, or the potential for it to be abused, particularly abused by children, it just scares me. But that's just me.
Yeah, Glenn, I know.
And I've listened last Thursday to our chief of police and how it's driving our police department nuts and our officers nuts on how they plan to have to deal with this and deal with drivers who are affected and impacted by this, etc. How they plan to go about their business is going to be very challenging to them indeed.
Exactly. Okay, Glenn. Good deal. Okay. So the consensus is there, and thank you, Glenn. We're going to go ahead and go with our next item. Item number 2E, discussion and possible direction of staff in all matters regarding budget adjustments for unavailable overtime in the city's prosecutor's office.
Got the whole legal team here tonight, except for Janet.
Okay, good deal, good deal. Good to see you.
The entire city prosecutor's office is here.
Yes.
Good to see you, Mr. De La Vera.
Do you want to present? You want to go ahead and?
Okay, well, my understanding is that we want to talk to you about the excess in budget that we have for overage that we have in budget for overtime for Sylvia. The last year we spent almost $4,000 in overtime for her work. This year, we were budgeted $1,000, and 4 months into the fiscal year, we're already about $700 over. When we met with finance, they took $500 from our uniforms to help offset the cost, but we're 25% into the fiscal year, and we've already exceeded that. And I don't have any reason to believe that that amount is going to go down as it was last year. In fact, I think it'll be higher. One of the things that we talked about was using comp time for instead of overtime. We don't think that's practical because comp time means take time off later on, similar to vacation. But our workload does not allow Sylvia to do that. It's kind of like a catch-22. And the comp time must be used up by the end of the fiscal year. We already lost vacation hours because we were not able to take them before. So this is just a repetition of the same thing. Now, after we took 40 hours vacation, Sylvia is still at 129 hours. We have 75% of the pay periods to go, which means she's going to be maxed out. So comp time is not a viable option for us. We looked at other areas where we could get some money from. We have contractual services, which has a $20,000 budget. We use that to pay for transcripts, which are averaging $1,000 a case. We have, from the $20,000, we have $14,000 left. And we have 36 trials currently scheduled between now and the end of the first week in May. So that leaves 3 weeks in May and the entire month of June that we'll probably have trials scheduled too. And we don't have transcripts in every case, but we have it in several cases. So I don't know where we're going to get the money from. Another thing that we have, issue that we have for those contractual services money is process service. Constable Torres was providing that service for us, and I mean, he does a marvelous job, but now there's no IGA with Yuma County, and state law prohibits him from doing it freelance or on his own. We can't make a private contract with him. So my understanding is that it's $48 for each process service. Every case that I authorize has to have a summons. And we have subpoenas and several witnesses, so I'm expecting that's going to be quite a bit. There's an alternative to that, and that is the law allows us to serve summons and subpoenas by mail, and that will require registered mail, so that'll exceed our postage costs also. But that's not practical in all cases. So that's our situation right there. I don't know where, if there's anything else either of you want to add.
I review the case files, and every year it's a pile of case files. They are definitely busy. I can vouch for that. So it's just a situation where there's a lot of cases and a lot of work that goes with it for a two-person office.
Now, Sylvia, how many cases do we have open now?
We currently have 291 cases open. However, because we were on vacation last week, that does not include the 210 emails, which include new cases, new long-form complaints that need to be authorized. Therefore, our number right now is a lot higher than 291.
So I don't know if you guys have any, if you council members have any questions, but
I have a question, Mr. De La Vera. Okay, so the caseload has been increasing yearly. When you proposed your budget, did you take that into account? Because you of all people, I mean, you know how busy you guys are getting, and so was there an increase? Was there a request by yourself to increase budget or by Kay to increase the budget in regards to overtime?
We proposed a part-time position, but I guess when it went to, you know, look at the whole budget as a whole, it wasn't budget.
I mean, this is the same thing I've been saying, I think, for several years. Sylvia is one that really needs help. I mean, I'm not, I don't work 40 hours a week, and so I'll do what I need to do, but she's the one that's really overwhelmed, and she's the one that needs help. We requested that, we didn't get it, so this is why she has to work overtime. My overtime obviously is not calculated into this.
So the proposal is to the end of the fiscal year, to cover it with the legal contingency fund from my office.
And Mayor, let me address you're getting to the point of getting somebody else. It's not just a situation where we can hire somebody to come in and answer phones. That really doesn't do us any good. We need somebody who can do our work. That means we need to have somebody who is trained. That means a lot of money. And we're not likely to find somebody like that. So we have to look at whatever options we have. Our type of work is not work that just any secretary can come in and do.
If my memory serves me right, we did approve the position for you guys, did we?
No, what happened is we made, Sylvia went from legal secretary to paralegal, but we still do not have another position.
Okay.
So what we did was increase her workload. And
Yeah, basically, yeah. No, we have a problem here. And the thing is, by the number of open cases you have, I mean, it could be overwhelming. And the thing is, you can't just close the prosecutor's office and I decide to take 2 or 3 weeks off. It's really hard for you guys to do that because of legal restrictions. You have dates, specific dates. You have to do certain things, and the whole thing about serving or why don't we have the contract with the county? Is it no longer available?
The county civil attorney found AG's opinion from 1964, where it's not possible for the constable to be serving non-justice courts. So he opined that was still good law, and so he was not recommending an IGA.
So he spent all this time. He went all the way to 64 because he didn't want to do this.
Yeah, he was helping us essentially out of the goodness of his heart. He did a lot of work for us. He, my hat's off to him. But the police department doesn't have the personnel to do it, and so if we contract with a private process server, that's really going to add up. I mean, we're talking several $1,000s there.
So what's your solution, Mr. Vada, on this one? I mean, you have a problem. You need service.
Well, right now we're trying to do the best we can with mailing, but that's not a viable solution. I really don't know other than to ask for perhaps to contract with somebody, put it out to bid with people who actually do that.
Okay. Yeah, we have to do something about at least that problem. We need to deal with it immediately because mailing can only do. I mean, especially right now with the whole election thing. I can tell you right now, if you mail something right now, it's going to be delayed no matter how you put it.
If I may, pretty much, Kay has offered a solution for the situation of the overtime. She very kindly has offered to transfer of part of her contingency budget to cover the overtime situation. In terms of the processing, definitely I can take a look. In talking to Kay, she mentioned that other municipalities, the police department takes care of doing those tasks. But as the city prosecutor mentioned, we don't have the workforce in the PD to take care of this. Definitely, I can take a look into the PD budget, and I think that we might be able to find funds there.
I have a little problem with that.
If the chief is okay with that, we can work together and definitely maybe try to find a solution to this issue.
So, I'm sorry, before the chief, speaks. So when we started with this, trying to find a process server, we did our research. Initially, when I first started 5 years ago, I said, I'll get certified and I'll do it myself. With the workload, there's no way I can do it. Not only is that an issue, but the fact that I'm not weapons certified, that's also a scary situation, that I'm going to someone's house without a weapon, anything to protect me, to do this process serving. Believe it or not, people get angry because they receive a subpoena to appear in court.
Of course, yeah. I would too, especially in the mail.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. The police department has always been there to try to assist any way that we possibly can in serving some of the summons and court paperwork for Mr. De La Var and his staff. We certainly will continue to do that. What makes it a little bit difficult for us is if those summons have to go out of town, then we're taking an officer completely away from the city of San Luis, sending them to Somerton, Yuma, Foothills, or wherever this particular person might live. One of the other things that we've run into as well is obviously our overtime budget. We're only 4 months into it, and we've already redlined simply because of COVID-19, and I just had 6 more go out today because of that. So we are now scrambling to try to fill those slots with supervisors and officers for the shortage that we have as well. So I'm not sure that there's really a great solution to the problem, but one of the ideas that we can certainly look at is a position within the police department that would assist the city attorney or the city prosecutor's office with a person that might be able to do that process serving for them, and other duties within the police department, such as taking reports from people that do come in. And there are several ways that I think that we can do that. I can certainly get with Monica as far as how we're going to accomplish that, but that's something that we can look at as well that will assist them, and the possibility of additional funds to the police department to create a position that would be beneficial to them. It also would work on some things that would keep officers on the road and have somebody that can take the walk-ins as far as reports and those types of things that would assist our patrol as well. So I think there are a couple valuable solutions to it as far as the process serving is concerned too.
Chief, I think we should look into that, but we also need to look at how much will it cost us to actually contract with the professional service company. I know there are here some in town, so let's look at those options also. Let's look how much the contract go into a contract, and how much will another position like you mentioned, Chief, that might be hired through the police department. My next question to you is KU. You mentioned right now, to deal with the issue right now, is to basically take money from your contingency, legal contingency.
Yes, and process service, I'm sorry. The process service I looked at, it's, I think we just have one process server, right, in town now? We used to have more than one. Yeah, we just have one company in town, and they want 50.
When you say in town?
I mean, in the region.
Yeah, he's in Yuma.
He's in Yuma. It's $50 a service, that's their bottom line, and we do about a minimum of 12 a month, I think is what.
But it's still cheaper than hiring someone?
And definitely that is something that we can look into. I just want to make aware of council that those two alternatives there might be. One is looking funding within the police department, which it will be, like the chief was mentioning, into a position, but we can explore if that is more cost effective versus the contracting. But if we go on the contracting side, definitely we will need to go into the contingency budget because there's no other place that we're going to be able to sustain that for the remaining of the fiscal year. And the position, we might be able to fill it out maybe within budget that we might be able to identify within the police department. But we can evaluate the two alternatives and present them to council, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I think we should look into the two options and see what's a viable option to the end of the year.
Yeah, one of the other things I was just discussing with Sylvia as well is there's a possibility, depending on how many are here locally, what we can do is we can have certainly one of our officers that's in administration office with internal affairs, as well as possibly detectives on their caseload, be able to assist that as well as we're looking at this option. So I think that there's some things that we can do that will help out as far as that's concerned.
Thank you, Chief. Now, in regards to comp time, the question still lies there. Like you mentioned, Mr. De La Vera, comp time does not work for this department because it works differently. Geez, that's a hard one. I'm going to go ahead and open the floors and see what the rest of the council thinks. Africa?
Mayor, I just want to comment that I think that this department really needs to look into hiring a part-time help. It's not healthy for her to be working all those hours. So I do think that it's necessary that they budget for it, or if it's in the budget, to go ahead and proceed. And the hiring of it, that's just what I want to throw out there.
Thank you, Africa. Matias?
Nothing to add, but same thing Africa said, and I'm gonna figure it out. That is a lot of casework. I didn't realize we were that high in cases at this time. So, good perspective to the necessities that the courthouse is having.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Matias. Jose Ponce?
I agree with Councilmember Africa. I think we should follow Mr. De La Vara's proposal. If he wants he needs a full-time employee, I think we should help him. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Yes, I also agree. It's just sad that it didn't get approved when they had proposed it. You know, it would have saved us this situation, but you know, hopefully this coming budget, it will be approved. Thank you for your services. We're sorry you're in this situation, but we're gonna try to resolve it as much as we can.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Mario?
We're in the hole, so whatever we need to do, I'm good, okay?
Thank you, Mario. To Gloria?
Yes, Mayor. If we need to do something to help the prosecutor's office, just let's do it.
Okay, good. One, we are going to look for a service provider. Either we're going to look through contracting or actually finding a position or creating, looking into viable using the PD. Alternatives, you mentioned, Chief, regarding the investigators, the administrative police officer. Let's look at that solution. In regards to, you definitely need a third person in there, either going to be part-time or full-time. You definitely need to do that. So, Mr. De La Vara, what exactly will help you in regards to the overwhelming work? I know the budget regarding the money, and you also mentioned the comp time. What solution do you see, a viable solution for your department?
A legal secretary,
A legal secretary?
yes, someone who has experience in our kind of work. and can take a lot of the pressure off Celia.
I agree. We should have a legal secretary for your department. I really do. Yeah, no, this hole is getting deeper and you're becoming overwhelmed. And I'm afraid you're going to become non-functional because you're going to be overwhelmed with a number of cases. I know your abilities, but when your caseload is overwhelming, that's not healthy. So we really need to look into that legal secretary, in my opinion. Okay?
Thank you.
And
Okay.
Next week, I'll bring back this item as a Band-Aid until we can work on the feasibility of getting the legal secretary for the office and recruitment, which it'll be a difficult one to recruit, so it'll take a while.
We're not worried about that challenge, Kay, so no worries. We'll find one.
Yes.
Gotta
I'm
be
sure.
positive, Kay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. De La Vara.
Thank you.
Okay, where we at here? Item number 2F, discussion and possible direction of staff in all matters regarding resolution 2145, resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Luis, Arizona, amending the assessment for fiscal year 2020-2021 for the Rio Sereno Enhanced Municipal Service District to reduce the tax imposed from 60,944 to 11,031. Monica?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This agenda item relates to the resolution that was presented last week about the Rio Sereno District assessment. In the last meeting, it was noted that the meter readers were malfunctioning since October 2018. So we decided to go back and do our due diligence to make sure that the overbilling from October 2018 and forward was included in the credit that was included in the resolution. After a thorough review of the information, we are confident now that the amounts presented in the attached resolution are correct and that includes the credit for any overbill charges from October 2018 to June 2020. I respectfully ask Mayor and City Council to approve this item as presented. Do you have any questions?
This is a must. We need to act quickly on this because, I have no problem with that. We need to change from 60,944 to the 11,000, which is the correct number, and this needs to happen immediately. So I have no objections to reduce the tax imposed. So that's my opinion. Africa?
No comments, Mayor.
Thank you. Matias?
Nothing, Mayor.
Thank you. Jose Ponce?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
No comments, Mayor.
Thank you. Mario Buchanan Jr.?
None, Mayor.
Thank you. Gloria?
No comment, Mayor.
Thank you. Monica, proceed.
Thank you very much.
Okay, item number 2G, discussion and possible direction of staff in all matters regarding possible tactical urbanism project. Mr. Jose Guzman.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. So as you know, with the COVID pandemic, everyone has been impacted by it. A lot of cities have seen more growth in people using bicycle lanes and requesting open space. So I'm just bringing this this project to council to see if there's something that they will be interested in before we spend more staff time on this or we involve more departments. So the idea is to implement temporary bike lanes and a temporary downtown pedestrian area. So the idea will be to close the area of the downtown for pedestrian only, as most of the vehicles parking there are people that are going to Mexico, and most of the customers of those stores are people walking. So, and to get the buy-in from the store owners, we will work with them to have like a designated area for them to take out their merchandise and display it outside. And basically just have like an open space area. And we're gonna look into, if council decides, we will look into doing temporary bike lanes. An idea will be to close one of the lanes on Urtuswastigi Street and make it a two-way bike lane only. And this will be just a temporary installation from probably December to April. And so I just wanted to see if council, what council think of this idea before we look into to actually having a full plan of what we're doing and where we're going to get the money. We were looking at some grants that would probably be able to apply to this project.
Okay. Our main street is clean of merchandise. One of the things we wanted to prevent is the displays outside, because they were displaying a lot of it on the street. When you mentioned displays outside, I was like, I know the concept, I know what other communities are doing. And you mentioned the parking. Have you spoken regarding this topic or this project to the local merchants?
No, I wanted to see council opinion on the project before we move forward with doing all the research and talking to the merchandise, to the stores.
I would want to see you talk to them first, because a lot of them are struggling, and parking is an issue on Main Street. There is not enough parking on Main Street. So it is metered. I'm not against it. It's a really nice project. But the way the economy is right now, we're trying to get as many customers to go through Main Street and actually purchase, because we've seen a lot of stores close in that area. And so, interesting concept. I know some cities are doing that. So I'm gonna open the floor, see what council thinks. Africa?
Like you said, Mayor, I think it's a great concept. And I'm very supportive of it. My only question is, you mentioned Urtuswastigi closing out one, something down there. Isn't that road very busy and congested at times? Would it work in that area?
We will get the Public Works Department engineering involved to see the possibility of it. If council decides to move forward with this project, we will come back with an actual design and having research all the possibilities.
Okay, so you think it'll work once you have somebody look at it? You think it'll be a good area for it?
Yeah, if it's not, we will not move forward with it. So we will make sure that it's possible, it's safety, and it's doable.
Okay, that was my only question, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Africa. Matias?
I like the concept, I like the idea, how they connect all to basically the canal and connect the city to the future walking path design. But I got a little bit confused, Mayor, on the Main Street part. Main Street already has bike lanes, but here I don't see anything being modified on Main Street. So what was the concern on Main Street? I don't know if I missed that part or something, but the merchants?
To have the merchandise outside. We finally were able to clean Main Street, and they no longer display merchandise outside. But now he's well, yeah, like the far right picture where they start displaying their merchandise outside. So I'm gonna say once we do that, we're back to square one.
So,
And we've had this discussion before in the past, and like you said, a lot of communities are doing this, but they have to get the merchants on board and do it like once a month, and then at the same time, that should be hopefully bringing in outside revenue to them. You know, bring people from the foothills, Yuma, do like a one-day little deal. But yeah, every day that would be kind of tough because that's what we wanted to get out of to clean Main Street. But I think you're right. You know, staff should just start to make sure they plan it out right in regards to Main Street, but in regards to the rest of the bike lanes and everything good, I'm good.
Good.
I like the idea.
Very good. Very good. Jose Ponce?
Mayor, I agree with you. I think Jose, he needs to speak with the merchants first, you know, ask for their opinion also. They have some kind of feedback from them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mayor. Like you mentioned, we worked on getting the merchants to not display their clothing or items out on the sidewalk. So I'm not too crazy about that idea. I am very excited about closing one of the lanes and use it for a bike lane just to see how that works. Correct, Jose? That's how you're explaining it?
yes, Vice Mayor, that's the idea.
Yeah, so I really like that idea. Not too crazy about the Main Street one, bringing back the clothes. I mean, we worked on it, you know, trying to get rid of it, and now we want to bring it back. So I would just definitely go through with the U Street and converting one of the lanes into a bike lane.
Okay, good deal. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Mario?
Okay, Jose, you have a big one on your hands. I want to be supportive with this, but I don't want to go back to square one like the other guys mentioned. I don't want any merchants bringing their stuff out, especially, I mean, putting palapas or tents out there, you know, and trying to sell their shoes or whatever they do. I don't like the idea. I just want the space for people to walk by, and that's about it, you know. And another question is, how about the traffic? You're saying that we're going to block that area for traffic? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, the idea was converting that square in red on the map for pedestrian only.
Right.
And making it like a public plaza, temporary public plaza.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to support you on that one. I really like Matias' idea, you know, like doing it once a month maybe, you know, to bring people in or to take advantage of the sales that the merchants have, but not like an everyday thing and make it and leave it like that. No, you don't have my vote on that one.
And the idea was for it to be temporary for a few months, just to help the stores with the impact that they have had with the COVID, and allowing them to put things outside will be allowing them to have the social distancing. Mayor, I want to take a moment to present to you Dylan. He's our new associate planner. He's working with me on this project.
Okay,
Hello, everyone,
Dylan?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. Dylan Stackpole here. I just want to reiterate what Jose is stating. I think it's very important that we close down the southern part of the Main Street to allow for pedestrian walkability and connectivity through the storefronts. Allowing there to be a closed-off main area of the downtown, allows people to diverge from the sidewalk and allow them to become part of the street and engage in more activities on the street and off from the sidewalk, which frees up space to allow the merchants to sell their supplies in an area that is 6 feet or more in pedestrian use.
Okay.
Creating also walkability in the downtown will help with the seasonal workers, because they'll have a place to not, as seasonal workers come into San Luis, they usually congregate in the southern part of the main street. So having this area temporarily closed off during the COVID epidemic or pandemic allows these people to freely walk around and freely be a part of the city without having restrictions in traffic or vehicular movement.
The only problem with that if you're doing temporarily long-term, I mean, that's going to create more traffic based on how our downtown is designed.
Well, we have accounted for certain areas to mitigate traffic.
An overflow.
We're using the Factor Warehouse parking lot as well as the southern parking lot at McDonald's. Allows accessibility for through traffic and flows of traffic, so congestion doesn't occur in the southern part. People are able to flow either east-west in those parking lots, which allows them then to access either Archibald or Willowbrooks Ave. And we will have proper,
Mr. Guzman, I suggest you guys go down there in the traffic and show him around and show him the downtown. And then, again, I'm for it for a weekend or a day or so, but not for temporary in the winter season. Like Mario says, that it's not gonna work downtown for us to do that 2-3 months nonstop, even during the COVID.
Yeah.
It'll work for a weekend, a special promotion once a month, a weekend maybe, Saturdays or something, but not everyday use with all the traffic that goes down there after the field workers get here. So just go ahead and study it and do some more research on it.
Yeah, if council decides, we will go back and talk to the store owners and review the possibilities and bring it back to council with options.
Okay, sounds good.
I agree. I'm sorry, Mayor. Yes, I agree with Councilman Matias also, Mayor. Thank you.
Good. Gloria? I didn't hear from you, Gloria.
Yes, Mayor, what I like the concept, there's no problem with me with Jose. But I do want to, it is be good to, better to see a good downtown area. And it is good to be good for our city. Do whatever is need good for our city.
Okay.
I have no problem.
Thank you, Gloria. So the consensus was do your research, talk to the merchants, see what they think, come back to council. The concept is good, but we really need to look at the impact, the possible impact of our winter seasonal workers. I could see that area being overwhelmed at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And so we already have an issue with keeping it clean. It's gonna add a lot more maintenance to that area. And I really like the umbrella concept there and having kids play in the middle. And the thing is, but it's all about the merchants also. We have to have the participation of the merchants. We can create a really nice location, but if we don't have the participation of the merchants, and a lot of these merchants are not the owners, I mean, they're the renters. So, that's also the issue also. So look into it, do the research, the possibility of it doing, and so come back with us, okay? So it's a good concept. So let's see how it will work, okay?
All right, will do. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council.
Thank you. Let's see here. Item 2H, discussion and possible action staff in all matters regarding hazard pay for essential workers from the Fire and Police Department and Facilities Division. Vice Mayor?
Yes, Mayor, thank you so much for this opportunity. Well, as you guys all know, our COVID numbers are increasing, and experts anticipate that the winter months were gonna be the worst months yet. Projecting the COVID numbers to increase, surpassing, some are saying 500,000 deaths. But my priority right now is our first responders, as they have to deal with the people that are sick, and they have to deal with the people that don't even know that if they have COVID or not. But they're going in and, handling the cases. Firefighters and police officers have to go into these hazard situations. So I would like to start the conversation. I know this is not something we can implement right away, but as long as we have and start the discussion, just as the county did in regards to hazard pay for fire and police department. I know the county started the conversation. I don't know where they're at on it right now, but I believe this is a start for us too. And if we can find funding and, to help alleviate some of that stress for our first responders. I know that we added facilities division. So if somebody from facilities there present, so they can maybe speak on their point of view on this.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, Vice Mayor. Louis Galaviz, Parks and Rec Director. I oversee the facilities division, and I wanted to request facilities also. They're the ones that have actually been disinfecting and sanitizing the facilities at the police department and all the other facilities where we have had positive cases, and they continue to do that. They're the only division in my department that hasn't stopped the same workload since this pandemic started, and working with legal and risk on addressing the issues that have come up with this pandemic, especially on the sanitizing and disinfecting areas.
Louis, how many of your staff were you considering in adding to this?
It was 8.
And 8 of those staff members, did any of them get COVID or during this process of cleaning and disinfecting our facilities?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. I can answer that. This is Sandra, Director of Human Resources. We actually, Monica Castro and I prepared a presentation to present to you guys, and if you will allow us, we will answer those questions as into the number of employees that actually were exposed to COVID due to work-related, and the number of positive cases as well.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So we did some research in preparation for this agenda item. I reached out to 74 of the different municipalities within the state of Arizona. 24 of those, we mainly focuses on cities and towns. 24 cities responded, and of those 24, most of them are not providing hazard pay. Several of them made it very clear that this was not something they were considering. Next slide, please. As the Vice Mayor, or, oh, I'm sorry, I do. Um, okay. Yuma County did provide a one-time lump sum payment for their health department employees, sheriff deputies, and detention officers. The only other municipality that responded in positive was the city of Tolleson. They made it very clear that they did not consider the payment that they provided hazard pay. What they did was they increased the uniform stipend for their public safety to include if they wanted to buy additional PPE for themselves or get testing for COVID additionally than what they were providing. I spoke in depth with the Human Resources Director for the City of Tolleson, and she explained to me that this was clearly not hazard pay, and it was just something that they were providing to their staff as for laundering uniforms and buying additional PPE. They are similar size to the City of San Luis with 220 employees, whereas Yuma County has about 1,300 employees. In regards to our COVID exposure that we have experienced here, between March and October, we had a total of 273 work-related exposures. Only 12 of those exposures led to a positive COVID test. We have a breakdown here of the departments that experienced the positive test. 3 fire personnel, 8 police personnel, and Public Works, which was 1, I believe it was wastewater. The total exposure breakdown, fire had a total of 222 exposures, police 33, and Public Works, which includes wastewater and highway users, had a total of 14. I believe these numbers go to show the work that we have done internally to protect our staff. Risk, as well as the support from Mayor and Council and administration, have worked to put in place providing PPE, disinfecting, staggering schedules, following CDC guidelines, creating internal policies as well. One of the internal policies that we created was our COVID-19 planned response and preparedness policy. In this policy, it was created to provide guidelines to help protect the employees and the public and reduce the spread of disease while maintaining critical functions. In this policy, we outlined priority services that are essential to the city continuing to operate, and that is the list that you see here. It does include more than just first responders, 911, court personnel, facilities, IT, parks personnel, and water and wastewater as well. Based on department and divisions that have the most risk of exposure when you think about their duties and functions of their jobs and their interaction with the public, these are a list of departments that we have included. Billings and collections, along with the meter readers, facilities. As Louis stated, they're going in and disinfecting. Fire, front desk staff for those facilities that are open to the public, police, Public Works, highway users, sanitation, and wastewater.
Excuse me, Sandra?
Yes.
Can you go back to the other? Yes. I have a question in regards to billing and collections. We were closed during that period. So that's why I was kind of focusing just on fire and police. So I know that we closed our city facilities, like the city hall and stuff. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Yes, thank you. We were not sure the time frame that you guys were looking on compensating, as far as if we were looking in the past or present or future. So when we put together this information, we based it on the functions of the departments and divisions that deal directly with the public and would have potential exposure based on their job functions.
I think the whole question was the first responders. And also, the vice mayor was correct because the city was basically closed. A lot of the workers were working with skeleton crews, and most of the employees were actually at home. So I think what the emphasis was our first responders who did not have the option to stay home, and they were in direct contact. I'm talking fire, police, and facilities, and also wastewater. Those were the essentials that never closed. I mean, all departments never closed, but they were the highest number of exposures, I believe, that occurred. And the number you showed about actually positives, that just attests to what the PPEs, they were using their PPEs. It was minimal exposure for having so many employees. That number of positives is very low compared to other municipalities. So I think the emphasis should be on the first responders, and I agree with Louis to add. And everyone is going to be at high risk. Absolutely everyone. And the thing is, it's just when you work for a municipality, when you work to provide services, you are at higher risk. That's every convenience store. That's if you sell a product, or even if you sell like a service, like insurance, they all have possible exposure, but not as much, not as frequent as fire and police, because they get exposed. I mean, they actually get the sick people in front of you. This is possible exposure, but these are positive patients that they get exposed on a daily basis. So I think we should focus more on the first responders. You mentioned what other city actually compensated, but they didn't call it compensation?
Tolleson.
Tolleson, yes.
Yeah.
And what was their money? I mean, how much did it cost them? The county did. They went way beyond. I think the county was on it, but did we get a total expenditure in regards to Tolleson? I know they didn't want to call it directly linked, but they call it something else. But do we know a figure?
No, I did not get a total amount. As it is currently, they still have it. It is a stipend that they're adding on to, so it's a continuing number, that it's not a set amount that they were given. And I don't know the total amount that they have spent at this point. It is a temporary thing that they are going to end. They just don't know when, but yes, unfortunately, I don't have that information.
Okay. Thank you, Sonia.
Continue, Sonia.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I definitely just want to echo a little bit about what Sandra said at the beginning of the presentation. We didn't know exactly what council was looking for. We just are presenting that information. At the end of the day, definitely it will be your decision and the direction that you want to give. So for us, it's more presenting the information, and we will do what you are advised to do. Part of that presentation is also the financial impact. It's important. So in terms of financial impact, no funds are allocated in the budget for fiscal year 2021. We did some research, and we reached to our contact at the Arizona Treasury, and he informed us that the Arizona CARES funding cannot pay for the hazard pay. But he mentioned that FEMA might be able to reimburse for that, provided that the hazard pay is paid to employees that are directly exposed to COVID-19. We have had experience working with FEMA And we know that it can be a challenging process. So it's a possibility that we might not be able to get reimbursed. So it's always good to have a plan B. So the plan B is in case that we're not able to secure federal funds to fund this program, we will be able to pay it through the contingency funds. Right now, it was mentioned that the county did it. We look at the agenda item, we looked at it. We also wanted to do our due diligence there, and we saw that they mentioned that they're funding it with the Arizona CARES funding. So not necessarily because they're doing it, that makes it right. So for us, before doing it, we wanted to make sure that it was right. So we contacted directly to the Treasury, and that's what they informed us. But right now with this situation with the COVID-19, you get conflicting information. So the agent is telling us that it doesn't qualify, but some guidance that we get, it says that, yeah, that it might. But in my experience, I always recommend to go on the safe side. If I have an email from my representative in Arizona CARES and he's telling me that we cannot utilize those funds for that, I prefer to go on the safe side and pursue it with a FEMA grant. And definitely, we will try it. For us, that will be our first alternative. Let's try it. They told us that they will qualify. But I just know that the process can be quite challenging. So about the financial impact amount, can it be small or large? Everything depends on the quantity of employees that will be getting the hazard pay. Just looking at the public safety employees, we can identify 120. If we consider more employees, this amount would increase. Another important factor is how long would the hazard pay benefit will last, and is it going to be a recurring or a one-time payment? Also, the amount of the benefit per employee is important, and are we considering giving a per hour, a stipend, or a lump sum? The chart below shows the difference between one alternative and the other one. The recurring hourly is incremental cost, is managed as a stipend, and it will be added to the hourly pay of the employee. Right below, where you see the blue arrow, it shows just a rough estimate that I made, 65 cents hourly stipend for public safety amounts to $20,000 a month. So if it's a recurring payment, you will see that multiplying each month. So the first month 20, the next month 40, and if it doesn't have an end date, because this COVID situation, we don't know how long it will last, it can really put that financial situation of the city not in a very good position. So definitely for me, seeing it from that perspective, the recurrent hourly is high risk and is not sustainable at the long term. Another situation with the stipend hourly is that this is incorporated in the overtime rate as well. So it will count as of overtime if we go with the hourly route. The one-time lump sum is a fixed payment, and pretty much it would not increase. It will be one time. So definitely this alternative is lower risk, and that will be my recommendation if council decides to proceed with this program. Now in the next slide, Sandra will mention some of the considerations on which we need council direction to be able to give you a better information about the financial impact and where do you want us to go.
I have a comment. Thank you very much. You guys worked very hard on this beautiful presentation. It's very detailed. You guys did your work and you guys surprised me. I wasn't expecting it. I really do appreciate it. But like I was saying, you have a lot of employees. There are 120 employees. I think that if we focus in first responders, so that we can lower that number. The ones that actually go into homes, you know, that would be the firefighters or the police officers when they have, you know, an accident and there's people with, you know, in need. I think that number would go directly down. You know, that wouldn't be including any of the administration positions for the fire or police departments. So I think that number would go down. And I'm leaning towards more of a one-time lump sum instead of the recurring hourly rate. I think that would be a never-ending story. But I think since this is a very scary time that we're living in, but I think that once we establish something, continue working on this and fine tune it, you know, we can allocate some money for our first responders. I think this is something that is very necessary. I know in other cities, there's police officers leaving their jobs, and not because of COVID, but because of other things going with the riots and stuff. It's just such a tempting thing to do, to leave your job and then to add COVID to it. But I think that's what I'm leaning towards, Mayor.
Mayor, may I?
Yes, please, Mario.
Yes, with all due respect, you know, to Vice Mayor and all the other departments, I believe that the only hazard departments that we have in the city is waste and sanitation, with all means. That's what it is, waste and sanitation. Yes, I understand that we want to help our other departments, you know, with this hazards pay, but you also got to understand that those are the only two departments in the city that have not stopped working and been doing the job. And I just want to put it out there before we go long on this. And let's not forget about those departments. So I give my opinion, but whatever the council decides to do, I'm good. Okay.
Mayor, let me just quickly suggest that I think like Mayor says, everybody is at risk. And the example that we have is one dead in wastewater. It's right, Mario. We need to be careful with our finance. I don't know what is going to be with this COVID, how long it's going to take. We have to be very careful. And you know that wastewater, that is like Mario mentioned it, is they're there, and we already have one dead. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Matias?
I like the way the way they compared us to what is it? I can't pronounce that little city's name. Tolleson. The way they did it, yeah. I understand that both point of views, Mario's and Gloria's, but yeah, first responders, police, fire, and then yeah, public work and wastewater. I mean, those are departments that work 24 hours a day and they're on call. It's just a matter of figuring out if we have the funding for those items and figuring out how to do it if possible. But I mean, I do think we need to start thinking of something because again, this ain't gonna end anytime soon, and it's gonna keep on going. But we also need to protect our employees.
We just opened a can of worms. That's what we did.
Yes.
Excuse me, Mayor. I understand where you're coming from. And if you want to add those departments, it's very understandable. Like Gloria said, we have a employee that passed away. I do not disrespect anyone, but we have to watch the way we word things. You know, I'm not trying here to fight. I'm trying to do this very respectfully. And by saying opening up a can of worms, I think it's a little unsensitive.
Well, that's what I mentioned, with all due respect. I mean, good thing you brought it up. Yes, I'm putting out there waste and sanitation. now we have an issue in our hands.
Yeah,
That sounds
and
better?
it's something that we can discuss and continue talking about. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't want a solution right now. Financially, I know we can't pay it out right now, but definitely something has to be done. Like they said, this COVID is not ending right now.
Yeah.
And the ones who will be carrying us, if any one of us has a COVID situation, guess who's gonna be coming, knocking on our door, coming picking us up? Probably fire department, the ambulance. If we wanna add those other departments, fine. But let's not be disrespectful and let's try to find a solution.
Yes, and definitely, like, we will move in the direction that council direct us. And definitely, like, this last slide presents some of the questions on which we will need direction so that we can continue working into this program. Because these are important points on which we need guidance.
So if council decides to move in the direction of providing some type of compensation, we would ask that a period of time be considered for this. Would it be something to be retroactive or something just for the present or moving forward in the future? Also, what criteria would be used to determine who is eligible for this, and how would the compensation be given?
Okay, well, I think we're talking about a lump sum for first responders to include wastewater, sanitation only. So we're talking about fire, we're talking about police, wastewater, and sanitation. I think we should look at the lump sum, one-time deal. We can't pay a fortune, but something, it's just a lump sum, thanking them because they were actively 24/7. And the thing is, unfortunately, we lost one of our employees to COVID. And that was the one positive that occurred in sanitation. I mean, they were high risk. And the thing is, what other cities did was actually, they closed the door. Those employees in sanitation and water, they never left the facility. They never left home. So they basically closed the door, locked the door, and they stayed there for weeks at a time. But that's the extreme. We didn't go that route. That's to prevent them from getting infected. It's one of those things where I know you brought over, you showed, for example, the possible risks involved in all the employees and who's going to get it, not get it. I think the vice mayor was focusing on first responders constantly being exposed. And so, I mean, you can do an argument both ways. So I think we should look into one-time deal, not arranged, not already raised, but just one time. And we should look at departments, fire, police, wastewater, and sanitation. Look at what Louis said. I agree with that because they were so important. Whenever there was a positive case, sanitation was always there. I'm sorry. Facilities. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, facilities was always there disinfecting. They were always disinfecting, and they didn't get infected. So, but if this is becoming overwhelming an issue, we just can't do it because we just can't afford it. We also need from Monica, we need a cost assessment of one time and just those departments that I mentioned. So how much would it cost? The other question is how much is fair? That's why your research on Tolleson, your research in the county is good. Did the county, was it based on their salary? Was it a percentage? Or was it just a lump sum, what the county gave?
With the county, it was one lump sum, But again, it is difficult to get a comparison from other municipalities, like Sandra mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, of how many municipalities did you reach? 37?
74, but only 20.
20 responded, and of the 20, only 2, which is the county and Tolleson, the only ones that are doing a hazard pay. So we don't have a point of comparison. County has so much more resources than us. So I think at this point it will be more of, I don't know, maybe I can make a recommendation based on the finances. I can look into that. But definitely there's no point of reference of a municipality as City of San Luis that we can see and say what is a fair amount.
Mayor, I just want to make a point. This is Chief Ramirez from the Fire Department. First of all, I want to thank everybody for listening for this item. One of the things that I want to mention is I think Sandra brought up a good point. Over 220 of our firefighters got exposed. And when they mean get exposed, they were actually probably in the back of an ambulance with a person that had COVID. And we only had 3 of those firefighters that tested positive. That means that the PPE that we invested for them worked. With that being said, I've had meetings with my employees the last couple of weeks because, as you mentioned it, we're going to see a spike, and we're seeing it right now. Last March, when I talked to them and I told them this is going to hit San Luis, I need you guys to be here. And I can tell you, that personnel that we have did not take vacation, did not take time off. They were here working for the city of San Luis. And I had this conversation again about 2 weeks ago with them. And I told them the same thing. We need you guys here to protect the residents of the city of San Luis. So I'm glad that you guys are taking a look at this. For everybody that have been here working every day during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Okay. Well, I'm gonna open the floor. So I'm gonna ask individually, what's your opinion? And based on that, we're gonna proceed, okay? So, Africa?
Mayor, I think that I want for Monica to come back with the cost assessment that you asked for. I do believe it's something that we should do. It's in order that we do it. I agree that we add the waste and sanitation to the first responders and the facilities. But I'd like to see the cost assessments first and everything that everybody's mentioned, like the what, the criteria, the how we're gonna fund it, all that. But it is a must. I agree with that part. And I think it should be a lump sum.
Good deal. Thank you. Thank you, Africa. Matias?
I already gave my, same as I said before, Mayor, for it, like those departments, figuring out the financing.
Thank you. Jose Ponce?
Mayor, yes, I agree with Councilmember Africa. I think we don't know exactly what's going to happen with the COVID-19. We don't know if it's going to hit us. I mean, how bad it's going to hit us. I mean, next month. So we need to be prepared. So I think we should give more time to for this project. At least give it a couple months, and then. But still, I mean, I'll go with to compensate those first responders and all the departments that needed it. But I mean, we should give that some time to think about it and wait for Monica to give us some kind of assessment on the money. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor, I know your opinion, but I'll hear it.
I think I've said everything, Mayor. You know, if you guys want to include facilities, it's okay with me. But I started this item for fire and police because they were in direct contact. They are in direct contact, you know, and just as Chief Ramirez says, they weren't taking vacation. They deal with patients on a daily basis, going back home, you know, could I be taking this to my family? But whatever council decides.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Mario, I've heard your opinion, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, you already heard it. Thank you.
Gloria?
I already give you my opinion, Mayor.
Thank you. I just want to make sure. So the direction of staff is proceed and look at it one sum, and what would be a based on what other communities have given. For example, how did the county assess or decide what was the lump sum they decided to give? Tolleson, let's look into the, if you can get numbers from Tolleson. But we also need to be careful on how much is it going to cost also. So if it's going to cost us $450,000, we don't have that money. So I'm talking about a lump sum that's, I mean, we can only give so much. So, okay.
Yeah, and definitely I will look into that. As I was here, I already thinking in my head how to make it happen. I think that's the way my brain works. Definitely something that if we are not successful in getting reimbursement from FEMA, something that we know that it can be sustained by the contingency as a backup. So I'll look into that and look into Tolleson. I know that's a recurrent, but also trying to find a creative way on how to make a good assessment with the information that we have.
Mayor and Council, this is Kay. Legally, it would be better for the consideration to go into the future rather than retroactive, because there's legal issues with adding pay to past service.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, Tadeo.
just also for the record, we don't have the amount of revenues in property tax that the city of Tolleson does. We're one of the 5 cities that do not have a property tax, so we also have to consider that we don't have that set of revenues every year. So just wanted to make that comment.
Yes, we understand that. We don't expect this to be on a yearly basis, but, you know, a compensation, you know, hazard pay, I think it would be proper.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you for that note, Tadeo, and it's so true. Let's just look at a lump sum. Let's look at what other cities are doing, and let's try to be creative. And but we need to be conservative in the amount of compensation, if we can give a compensation. So the question is, can we? Should we? Should we? Yes. Can we? That's a different question. Okay. So let's look into that, por favor. Okay, Monica?
Thank you. Yes, sure, we will.
Okay, thank you. Now, our next item number update on any and all matters regarding proposed hotel to be located on Main Street. I believe we are going to continue this item, but this item needs to be discussed this month.
You're correct. You're correct, Mayor. We will bring it back.
Yes, because I actually was very adamant about getting the information out last time. The owners came out, the future owners came out, and they actually discussed this. We need to talk about the hotel because it's something that it affects our economic development. And if we have to open the doors to other vendors or people who are interested, we can only be exclusive for so long. So we're going to continue this item. Jenny?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I had it scheduled for the next work session, so you're telling me that you want it for the November 20,
No, we're a special work session.
Oh, you would do a
during the month-
special work
during
session
the-
for this specific item?
During
Okay,
the month of
then,
November.
Yes.
okay, if you just give me sufficient time to work out the negotiations and the details, so that when we come back, it's not just me, it's the developers coming back and explaining to you the process.
Okay. Yes, please. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, because people have been asking, and that's a very we need to talk about it because we need to make sure we can't be exclusive only to. I mean, it's already been a long time. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page, and we don't want to be closing doors to other people who want to actually invest in. Let's say, for example, another company that wants to bring a hotel. We need to be very clear that we're very serious about the hotel. So we'll talk about that. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, that's okay?
Yes, Mayor, it's okay, as long as, I get to hear it before my term runs out.
Okay, we'll make sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So we're going to continue this item. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion. There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries. Have a good night, guys. Thank you.